Imagine a nation where billions of naira intended for hospitals, schools, and roads vanish into a hidden political war chest. As millions of Nigerians struggle to afford basic meals, a new scandal has erupted that threatens the very foundation of the federation. Activist Deji Adeyanju has stepped forward with a chilling allegation that has sent shockwaves through the capital. He claims that funds from the Federation account are being systematically diverted to fund a massive 2027 re-election campaign. The Federation Account Allocation Committee, known as FAAC, is the financial lifeblood of Nigeria's 36 states. It is the central pool where oil revenues and taxes are gathered to be distributed for the common good. But today, that pool is allegedly being drained by a sophisticated, hidden siphon. Adeyanju's petition to the EFCC and the ICPC paints a grim picture of systemic theft. He argues that these deductions are not administrative errors, but a calculated plot to consolidate power. To understand the gravity of this crime, we must look at the current state of the Nigerian economy. Inflation is at an all-time high, and the local currency has plummeted in value. In the bustling markets of Lagos and Kano, the cries of the hungry are growing louder every single day. While the average citizen counts their last kobo, the political elite are accused of hoarding unimaginable wealth. This disparity is the backdrop for what many call a national tragedy. The petition submitted by Adeyanju is not just a complaint, it is a call for a full-scale forensic audit. He is demanding that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, track every single naira deducted from state allocations. The allegations suggest that the presidency is using these funds to secure the loyalty of governors and local leaders. If true, this represents a total subversion of the democratic process, using the people's own money to buy their future votes. Why would the government risk such a blatant maneuver? The answer lies in the complex machinery of Nigerian elections. Winning a second term requires an astronomical amount of capital to fuel rallies, logistics, and political patronage. By tapping into the FAAC deductions, the administration allegedly creates a slush fund that bypasses traditional oversight. This money is ghost-like, moving through the shadows of the banking system, leaving the states with barely enough to pay salaries and maintain basic infrastructure. Adeyanju labels this the greatest crime against Nigeria because it steals directly from the poorest communities. When a state's FAAC allocation is slashed, the first things to go are healthcare subsidies and rural development projects. This means that a political campaign in 2027 is being built on the suffering of people in 2024. The long-term consequences are devastating, as the gap between the rulers and the ruled widens into a chasm that may never be fully closed. The Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, or ICPC, now hold a heavy responsibility. Along with the EFCC, they are the gatekeepers of Nigeria's integrity. However, many skeptics wonder if these agencies can truly investigate their own superiors. The presidency exerts significant influence over the leadership of these anti-graft bodies. This creates a tense standoff between the duty of the law and the reality of political power. Would the investigators follow the money, or would they simply look away? As the news of the petition broke, social media exploded with outrage. Young Nigerians, who have seen their dreams deferred by economic mismanagement, are demanding answers. They see the FAAC deductions as a betrayal of the promises made during the last inauguration. The hashtag #ProBFAAC began trending as citizens called for transparency. This digital uprising shows that the era of secret governance is coming to an end, as information travels faster than the politicians can manage their narratives. The technical details of the FAAC deductions are complex. Every month, the revenue generated from oil exports and taxes is calculated. Before it is shared, certain statutory deductions are made for debt servicing and other national obligations. Adeyanju alleges that these figures are being inflated. By overstating the cost of debt, billions are quietly diverted into accounts controlled by political operatives. It is a shell game played on a national scale, where the stakes are the survival of the country. But who are the enablers? A crime of this magnitude cannot be committed by one man alone. It requires a network of bankers, civil servants, and regional politicians who are willing to facilitate the transfers. Adeyanju's call for a probe includes these middlemen. He argues that the culture of impunity in Nigeria is sustained by those who follow illegal orders for a share of the spoils. Breaking this chain is the only way to ensure that the wealth reaches the people. Historically, Nigeria has struggled with the incumbency factor. Presidents and governors often use state resources to ensure their stay in power. However, the scale of the current allegations is unprecedented. The shift from individual corruption to systemic FAAC manipulation marks a dangerous evolution in political survival tactics. If the Federation's account is no longer sacred, then no institution is safe from being weaponized for political gain. This is the heart of the crisis that Deji Adeyanju is exposing. The presidency has remained largely silent on the specific details of the petition, often dismissing such claims as politically motivated attacks. They argue that all deductions are legal and necessary for the stability of the national economy. This official narrative clashes directly with the reality on the ground. When the government says the economy is stabilizing while food prices triple, the trust between the state and the people evaporates. This lack of trust is a volatile fuel for social unrest. In the Niger Delta, where much of the nation's wealth is generated, the sense of injustice is particularly sharp. The people there see the oil being pumped out of their lands, while the revenues meant for their development are allegedly stolen in Abuja. The FAAC scandal adds another layer of resentment to a region already scarred by environmental neglect. If these funds were used properly, the Delta could be a hub of prosperity instead of a flashpoint for conflict. Adeyanju's petition highlights a specific mechanism: the use of consultants to facilitate these deductions. These shadowy firms often charge massive fees for services that are never fully explained. By routing FAAC funds through these consultants, the money is effectively laundered before it reaches political campaigns. It is a brilliant, if nefarious, way to hide the trail of the stolen billions. Identifying these firms and their true owners is a critical step for any serious investigation by the EFCC. The global community is also watching. International investors and foreign governments are wary of putting money into a system where the rules of engagement are constantly being rewritten to serve the ruling party. Corruption of this scale deters foreign direct investment, further crippling the economy. If Nigeria wants to be taken seriously on the global stage, it must prove that it can police itself. The outcome of this probe will be a signal to the world about Nigeria's true direction. Let's talk about the 2027 re-election bid. In Nigeria, election cycles never truly end, they simply evolve. Even as the current administration settles into its first term, the machinery for the next contest is already being greased. This requires billions of naira for media campaigns, ground operations, and the vital support of local kingmakers. The FAAC funds are seen as the ultimate prize because they provide a steady, reliable stream of cash that no opponent can match. Deji Adeyanju is no stranger to controversy. He has spent years challenging the status quo, often at great personal risk. His decision to target the FAAC deductions shows a deep understanding of where the real power lies in Nigeria. It is not just in the laws, but in the control of the treasury. By challenging this control, he is striking at the heart of the political beast. The question remains, is he a lone voice, or the start of a movement? The governors of the 36 states have a curious role in this scandal. Many are silent because they too benefit from the current system, or they fear political retribution if they speak out. However, some have complained privately about the shortchanging of their states. If the EFCC starts a real probe, we might see a domino effect where governors begin to testify against the federal government to save their own reputations. This would lead to a constitutional crisis of immense proportions. We must also consider the role of the judiciary. If the EFCC and ICPC find evidence of wrongdoing, the cases will eventually land in the courts. The Nigerian legal system is often criticized for being slow and susceptible to influence. A case involving the president's re-election funds would be the ultimate test for the judges. Would they uphold the law, or would they succumb to the immense pressure from the executive branch? The future of Nigerian justice hangs in the balance. Every naira stolen is a missed opportunity for progress. Think of the thousands of Nigerian doctors who leave the country every year because of poor pay and lack of equipment. Think of the millions of children out of school. These are the true victims of the FAAC scandal. Corruption is not a victimless crime, it is a slow-acting poison that kills the spirit of a nation. Adeyanju's petition is a reminder that we must value our people more than our politicians. As the investigation looms, the pressure on the EFCC chairman is mounting. He was appointed by the very president whose administration is being accused. This conflict of interest is the primary reason many Nigerians are skeptical of a fair outcome. To gain public trust, the Commission must be transparent in its findings, releasing reports that the public can verify. Anything less will be seen as a whitewash, further eroding the credibility of Nigeria's primary anti-corruption institution. What happens if the probe reveals the truth? In a healthy democracy, it would lead to impeachments, resignations, and criminal trials. In Nigeria, it could lead to a massive political realignment. The revelation of such a grand theft could unify the opposition and the civil society like never before. The 2027 election may not be decided at the ballot box, but in the accounting ledgers of the FAAC. This is why the stakes have never been higher for the current administration. The story of the FAAC deductions is a microcosm of the Nigerian struggle. It is a battle between those who see the Treasury as a private bank and those who see it as a public trust. As we watch this drama unfold, we must ask ourselves, what kind of country do we want to leave for the next generation? Silence is no longer an option. The billions belong to the people, and it is time they were returned to their rightful owners. Will the EFCC and ICPC act on Adeyanju's petition, or will this become just another forgotten headline in the sea of Nigerian scandals? The answer will define the legacy of this administration and the future of the Fourth Republic. We will continue to follow this story, bringing you updates as the truth emerges from the shadows. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think is really behind the missing billions?